All right, this is going to be testing out some new products. I'm testing out the new microphone, and hopefully this microphone picks up a little bit better, and we don't have the audio problems that we kind of been using a little bit of the background noise. I'm driving more of the Cholo ride or the piece of crap car. I didn't need I got a long enough drive as it is, so I wanted to save some money on gas. I kind of had to redo the church video just because I felt like the church video, the audio was kind of drowned out. It was raining, so let's just kind of rehash that. And I'll go into it in a couple minutes, or a little bit right now. So, over the weekend, we attend a small church. Our church is maybe 30 to 100 people, just depends on how busy it is. It's small. To me, I grew up in a church, the mega church, I guess we call it. So anything under 100 to me is pretty small. It's a great church. We have great people in there, good leadership, and we have, we're trying to get the new pastor in so that we have growth instead of being stagnant. So we're hoping that the new pastor comes in and we can actually grow with the church instead of not fizzling out. So an incident happened at the church about, I would say, June of this year. And the pastor has, what we have is about an hour and 15 minutes typically for the whole church. And at the end of the pastor's sermon, we had a gentleman come up, introduce himself, and just really strange. It's actually very unusual for someone to come up and interrupt the pastor. It's just not usual. And it's something. He came up and he looked at us, and introduced himself, and he talked about, how should I rephrase it? It's unusual, but they gave him a couple of minutes, and he chose to use this couple of minutes to talk about his upbringing and how, he's an older guy. So then you talk about how he had a rough life and he was doing bad things and he found God. And I kind of first thought, okay, that's where it's going, and he's just being grateful, I guess. And so they thought that too. And then they're like, well, that's very good. So, they wanted to get him going and sit down. And he went into like this rant about this cabin up north where you can go, where Christians can go, and he gave his spiel speech for that. I thought that's pretty neat, but kind of wrong time, wrong place, but whatever, they allowed him to do it. And then he went and did a 180-degree turn and started talking about the bakers and the gay and lesbian community suing these bakers and all these businesses, and he just got enraged, upset. You can see that's a passion of his, where he's just violent, getting violent about it, but not like violent towards us, but it's in his nature to be angry towards something. And just, you looked at him like, whoa, this is going a little bit too far. How far do you want it to go? They were able to calm him down and get him down and get him off the stage or off, up behind the podium. And he walked away, and that was pretty much the end of that for him. But his actions kind of caused a few things, While I'm watching this, I'm going, wow, this guy's getting really agitated. I'm watching him growing to get agitated. And I'm like, well, people like this like conflict, and people like this could carry a gun, If he's not getting the response he wants, or if they try to take him down, he might get violent, He has that look to him, when I look through a crowd, I look for people, their hands, their eyes, what kind of facial expressions are they doing? Are they eyeing at the room? Are they looking for, are they looking for a fight? So you have to, how do I want to put it? You have to basically snap judge people. And I mean it in the nicest way possible. You have to, when you look through people, snap judge people. And it most of the time is true. So this guy, not violent in a fighting sense, but I'm making sure, like, do I have to act what am I going to do? So I started going through that. They were able to calm him down and get him out. The deacon or the elder, which is just a term, came up to me and asked me how I felt. And I thought he meant the kids. I said, oh, the kids are fine. And he's like, no. He's like, what do you think that, did this, what did it mean? I'm like, oh, so he was talking security-wise. And I'm like, well, I think, really honestly, this is your first interaction and an eye-opening point where you need to have a plan of security and you need to have some sort of options, like what do you want to happen and how do you want to have it go. So I spoke to him about it and I said, look, I'm capable, our company, Raven Tactical, it can do concealed carry, and we could do it right here at the church, and I have no problem inviting the church members to my house to do concealed carry shooting, and do some pistol shooting, or get familiar behind a gun, and we can go over some security measures and some planning. The problem was he kind of put it off after a while. I put it off because everything got really busy for the next couple of months. We got got married, then we had 3 weeks of annual training. We also wound up with hurricane recovery stuff and just trying to balance life that way and get back to work. Well, we finally got back to church and started going to our youth, started going to this Wednesday thing. Back up. We started going back to our small group and for adults. And we were talking again about kind of like what we see around us and what's going on. I said, I see churches becoming a focal point for anger. If they're going to go after a Christian maker today, they're going to go after a Christian church tomorrow. So they brought it up that another member of the church, he brought up, I guess, during one of the bruncheons while we were gone, that he wanted to talk about a security plan or some sort of security, and it was in his mindset for that. And I said, oh, that's interesting, that's cool. And so then that following Sunday, they introduced me to him, and we shook hands. I kind of do my little thing, like to see what kind of guy he is, and I think he's a good guy, a righteous man, but I think sometimes I get this feeling that Christians have that blinders on them when, they're not looking at it through the right set of lenses. I look through the set of lenses of, excuse me, I've been in the military for 10 years, and I was deployed in a combat zone, and I was deployed in a prison area, so we saw the most violent people ever, so you see evil, and you see the most evil things people can do, so you start getting that in your head, and once you're exposed to it, it's hard to let that go. So I see where evil exists, and I see where if you let evil gain a foothold, you're never going to get that damn back. So I think it's important that we actually do have a security plan. So I talked to him, and it went well, in the sense that, I introduced ourselves. I don't think he had a lot of time. But I talked to him and I said, he's like, yeah, I think we need a security plan. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with you on that. He started talking about how, if we had an active shooter, that we need to make sure people get their heads down and all this. And I said, yeah, I agree, but at the same time, you need to be able to have people who are going to shoot that active shooter. You need to shoot back. You need to kill or stop that threat. And you also probably could benefit from locking the majority of the doors around our building and not have it all open and exposed. It's fine to have the main entrance, for people to filter in late, but you don't need people gaining access to the children or, being able to get to the front of the church. And I said, 2, you need to also have a plan on the children's side that the people that are in charge know that 2 things have to happen. One leader has to hold that door open if you're going to evacuate. 2, you need to have an accurate head count before and after. So if you have 12 kids today, 12 kids should be in the meeting point in the parking lot. Now, the thing I had was that I said we have a lot of older people if you see someone coming, it's or you have a conflict, you're trying to get people out. These old people are not going to move very fast. So, you have to keep that in mind. But he kind of took that as what I kind of assumed would be the typical Christian approach. And I don't mean it in a bad sense, but his approach was, a little bit condescending. When someone taps you on the shoulder or puts your hand on your shoulder, they're trying to take the power of the situation or this conversation and be dominant. And then, of course, we have to be dominant with this conversation style. It was, well, we don't have to worry about where we're going. That's the beauty of it all. And I agree. If you believe in God and you're a Christian, it's, if you happen to die, you know where you're going. That's great. I understand that, and I get it, and I believe it. But I also said, I didn't have a chance to talk to him about it. But I said, I talked to my wife about it, and she's like, there's no point in having this conversation or even a plan if you're just willing to die. Like, if you're just willing to accept the fact that you'll die and you'll go to heaven and you don't care about it, why bother? Like, why bother ducking? If you don't seem to have a will to live or will to keep going, then don't, I agree. I think, sometimes Christians have this naive approach. And I said, look, I was talking to her about it. I said, as a man, as a leader of my family, as a leader, I believe in my church. I may not be the actual leader, but as a leader in my church, as a man, it's your duty and it's your service to take care of your family and protect them and protect your church, protect your property, protect what's God's given you, And that doesn't mean you have to go insane over it, but I think you also have to come to the conclusion that you need to find the ability to actually act. And I think Christians have a hard time understanding that defending yourself and killing someone who is attacking you are things you're going to have to do. I 100% agree. Like, you need a plan. If you're not going to plan, you might as well lay down and die. So I'm all for coming to the elders with my plan. My plan is to make sure that the exterior doors are locked down and there's an SOP written, standard operating procedure, how we're going to act. You also can, we're offering to the church, for the same rate that we can teach and get people concealed carry license or open carry. We can get people familiar with shooting. We can get people with defensive shooting. And you need it. I think out of everyone in the church, I'm probably the only one that carries. There's a current police officer in there, and he refuses to carry. He doesn't carry off duty. And I went, Tim, it's a hassle. I went, you're sworn to protect the state and the people of the city, and you can't be bothered to carry off duty. It's everybody's choice. And I look at it like, why wouldn't you, So, in that light, I think, it's your choice. But I don't want to see my family die. I don't want to see my family suffer. So, when you look at the evils in this world, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? You're going to lay down or are you going to fight? I'd rather die fighting and then on my knees begging. Because I can guarantee you'll be begging if someone's pointing a gun at your kids not to kill them. I think that's really just a sad fact. One thing, too, that I'm going to put out there is he did bring up one good point that I had never heard. He was talking about how churches now today, in the Midwest specifically, they have a problem. There's Muslims coming to the church, and during the sermon, Muslims will come in with their cell phones and start recording everything around them. Taking their phone, doing 360 degrees, recording the entrance, recording people leaving, recording everything about it. From a military perspective, they're doing their homework. They're getting everything all put together and ready to have a plan. Why? Because this church gets out at 10:15 every time. Everybody files for the door by 10:20. You're going to be able to do the most amount of damage here. Now, they're all going to be funneled into this little room here. You know, if I put an IED, I put a bag, the bomb in it. If I came in guns blazing, I'm going to be able to get maximum carnage and a high body count. And there's not a damn thing they can do. And you know what? They're absolutely right. Why? Because people like this who sit there and go, well, we'll just lay down. And, you know, that way the active shooter does what? You know, walks up to you and shoots you or what? You know, I don't know. So I think that's part of the valid point. I guess VCY or something they're having up in Eau Claire this weekend, or next, not this weekend, but the first weekend in November, they're having a security conference about churches and security, which I think is great, but I'm not able to attend. I don't have the time due to my conflict with my job, so I'm not able to attend this security conference, which I think is fine, but, you know, I would like to attend, but I'm just not going to be able to get there. I'm assuming he's going to go attend, this guy, and I don't know what he's going to come back with, you know, more of this. And I said two things when I talked to him about it, like, you can't approach the congregation with fear, you know. Let's come at it with logic, reasoning, and a biblical response. Like, there is biblical response to taking care of your family and protecting yourself. You know, one of the best verses that I'm going to basically shorten down is, if you don't own a sword, sell your cloak and buy one, which is basically saying, Jesus told his followers, you're going to be persecuted, you're going to be hunted, you're going to be attacked for your belief. So if you don't have a personal weapon, a sword at that time, sell your coat and get one, because you're going to need it. The need to defend yourself is greater than the need for your worth in that point. So I think, you know, we all have to take a step back and look at it. I'm hoping I'm able to talk to some of the elders this weekend or in the next couple of weeks and actually sit down and talk to them. I would like to actually cover some stuff, and if I'm hoping the church is game for it, but I have a feeling sometimes people are very soft when it comes to stuff like this, and it takes, you know, they just don't believe it's going to happen. The irony too, I guess I forgot even put in, because I'm redoing this 40 minutes after we talked and had this conversation, the Tennessee church shooting happened. So I mean, you're talking, Tennessee had a church shooting, and the only thing that stopped that shooter was the usher was armed, and he put a couple of rounds into the guy, and the guy actually wound up shooting himself too, because the guy moved out. I'm gonna assume the guy was Muslim and was a black guy, so take your pick. I mean, the name and the area that he came from all indicates Muslim. So the news won't talk about it because there wasn't a high enough kill count, and they're not going to talk about it either because guess what? It's Christians defending themselves. So there, you know, you had that stupid kid that shot up a church and got a high kill count. Oh yeah, well nobody was able to defend themselves because nobody cared. So stay frosty out there. You need to carry a gun. You need to realize that danger is out there, evil is out there, and people are trying to kill you. So, you know what? I'm going to go with Tim Kennedy again. And, you know, train to be the hardest person to kill. Train to be that person that in the fight, you're going to give 120% of everything you got. You're going to be giving so much energy and so much adrenaline and so much of a fight back that they're scared and they leave. And the only way they're getting out is you can put them in a body bag, but you leave an impression on whatever's remaining that you're not going to go out without a fight, and that you have to be the strong person who, even if you get shot or even if you get knocked down in that fight, you're not giving up until your last breath. And that's just the way it has to be. So, you know, stay frosty out there, stay cool, be vigilant, watch your six, and make sure that you're keeping your head on and pay attention to what's going around you. Thank you, and have a good day.